Today is Sunday, March 24th, 2019, and this is Journal 10 of my spring junior semester. So this journal is about challenging conversations and how I approach them. The prompt says, how do you handle a challenging conversation? And give an example from your own experience. The most recent one that I've had is a tough conversation about adhering to rehab and specifically showing up to rehab and buying into rehab, I guess I would say. So to explain that conversation, we had spring break last week. And this week we came back to school. So the week before spring break, obviously a lot of people try to leave early to make their spring break longer, which is fine. We all do that because we all feel like we need a break. But me and my rehab patient had previously spoke about how she had some appointments to go to and things like that over spring break. And she needed to go home early, which I was totally down with, because she had worked really hard in rehab that week, and we had upped some reps and stuff like that. She was able to do more things than she had the week before, so we had progressed. My only stipulation for letting her miss that one day was to follow my home care plan that I sent with her to do over spring break because she was going home. And then to keep in touch with me throughout the week if she had any questions. And I also went through everything. I sent her a copy with pictures and directions on how to do all of them. So spring break comes and goes, Monday rolls around, and she doesn't show up. And then she didn't show up this Friday either. So we had a conversation on Wednesday about what was going on, if she was okay, is there anything that we needed to know about. And from her reaction and response, it was evident that she is very frustrated with herself, very frustrated with still being in rehab and how it's a long process and how, this isn't fair. Why is this happening to her? Also, I think that it's easier not to talk than it is to talk, which is a thing that we learn quite a thing that comes up frequently in rehab is a lot of people think that it's much easier not to talk about what's going on, regardless of if it's a physical or mental thing. People don't like to talk. So we talked about how missing rehab in the end is worse because she wants to get back faster. And I guess her missing was kind of like an absent thought, like maybe if I miss and go a couple times a week, we can still get there. I just don't want to go. We talked about if she was ready, we could up things as long as her doctor approved them, that we could add some more things in and be a little bit more aggressive if she would buy into the rehab. And it's hard to be in college and come and want to be on a team, like an athletic team, and then get hurt, have surgery, and kind of miss that team interaction. I think that because of her injury, she has kind of secluded herself from her other track friends just because she feels like she's not involved. So we tried to make rehab during times when practice isn't, so she can still attend if she would feel to do that. And also so she has time to herself, time to do things that she wants, just an hour out of every day, at least, 5 days a week. So when we talked about it, we both came in. I told her to prepare herself because we were going to have a meeting, and she came in and she was prepared to talk about what was going on and why things happened. I think a big thing with like handling challenging conversations is listening, because if you're not listening, you come in angry and you just want to get your point across, then the other person doesn't get anything out of that conversation. With my conversation with my rehab patient, I made sure I let her talk first. I like doing that because most of the time, if you're having a serious conversation or a challenging conversation, there's a lot of nerves involved, and a lot of emotions kind of built up, and I didn't want her to hold those any longer, and if me talking made her even more mad or anxious or anything like that, I didn't want that to happen. So I let her talk. We had a good conversation, because some of the things about spring break she had left out, and then why she missed rehab on Monday was she was still on some pain medication from an appointment with the dentist, and missed class as well. And I totally understand. It's just, I would rather get a notification much prior to our appointment than, oh, by the way, it's 11 o'clock and you're supposed to be here, but I'm not coming. So I kind of threw out some scenarios to get her to understand that thing about, telling me earlier, like, if you know things, tell me things when you know them so I can prepare or we can reschedule. We also went over some of her personal goals, and I think that that's going to help her buy in a little bit more, and kind of giving her a little bit of freedom in her rehab, because she feels more involved, and she was kind of open to discussing things and why I was choosing certain exercises, because I think understanding is a huge part of compliance to rehab, because if you don't understand and you're not seeing progress, why come? A lot of people think that way. It's just how the human brain works, in my opinion. Like, if you don't understand it, you don't see any progress. Most of the time, it's like, why am I here? Do I need to be here? Is this really helping me? Yes or no? But I think in the end, like, handling challenging conversations, especially with this one, just because this one is so important to me because it's my rehab project for this semester, I think that letting her speak first so I could understand a little bit more, because I didn't want to assume things going into that conversation, and I wanted to be the adult, because I could tell that she was very frustrated, and not just with rehab, she was frustrated with other things, herself, her knee, her injury, the school year. Like, she has a lot going on, and I think that her just talking and me, at some points just being like, I understand, yes, I get that, and here's an example from what I've been through, really helped her kind of like, okay, it's okay to feel this way, like, it's normal, I'm not freaking out. And in the end, she thanked me for talking to her about this, because she said that she was very nervous coming in to speak to me, just because she felt bad about missing rehab, but this is why she did, / she doesn't really understand why nothing's happening. And then I just think that in my situation with this challenging conversation, I compared from where we started to where we are, showing progress, because that was her main issue, is like, she's not seeing that much progress and she's still irritated because there are still things that she cannot do. And I get how frustrating that is. But we talked about, you couldn't do this like a month ago. You weren't even allowed to do this a month ago. And now here we are, and you're acing it, and we're upping weight. And we're adding in more movements, and that made her happy because she hasn't thought about things like that. But I think with any challenging conversation, like even in athletic training or out of athletic training, listening is a huge key to getting the conversation done. If you're not listening and you're just throwing in more things, it's just nothing's gonna get solved. It was a quick conversation because she said what she needed to say, and I think most of the things that I needed to say she covered on her own. So me responding was just me getting her to understand why we're here and what we're doing and how this is going to help her. I think that this challenging conversation is going to help me a lot with the rest of rehab for the next month, because now I think that she's really bought into this. And she wants to be involved, and I'm going to let her be involved we're going to change goals every week, like what we want to accomplish, what she wants to do, what exercise she really, really wants to focus on, that she wants to get better with this week. She wants to get better with everything, but as I add in new ones, whether there's old ones, she wants to make sure the old ones are getting better, not just trying to focus on, the new ones because they're new. Especially with her, she still is having VMO trouble with strength. So we're doing some short arc quad things, and she's gotten much better with those this week. Or not this week, but from where we started. So adding in longer holds, or the arc underneath her knee is going to be higher and harder, and just fluctuating things. So she'd focus on that this week, trying to get through those changes. But yeah, so that is an example of a challenging conversation that I've been through, and this is Journal 10.